Gonna run back through this from before Christmas. Definition of circle is a set of all points in a plane, equal distance from a given point. What kind of plane am I talking about right there? The flat surface that goes forever in all directions. The center point that you start at, where all the others are equal distance from. Radius, what are the basic definition of a radius? What does it do? It goes from the center to the circles, halfway across. Chord starts and stops on the circle somewhere. Starts and stops on the circle somewhere. Alright, diameter is a chord, which means it starts and stops on the circle, but the important part of the diameter is that it goes through the center. Secant is a line that intersects a circle in 2 points, and then tangent is a line, a ray, or a segment intersects a circle in exactly 1 point. Alright, here's a diagram of what they would look like. You've got your center in the middle there. The radius, again, goes halfway across. A chord starts and stops on the circle. Diameter starts and stops on the circle, but has to go through the center. The secant is the line that goes through the circle and hits it twice. And tangent can be a segment like it is here. It could be a ray like that. Or it could be a line the whole way going through. But it can only touch it once.
Okay.
Alright. We already did this once, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. Give me a radius that's up here.
FG.
Alright, now when I do these, I'm going to say GF just because of this. What do I know about a radius?
It always starts from the center.
Goes from the center out to the circle.
You got the
So if I start at G, then it's easier for me to see where to go.
GB.
Then GB would be another one.
GC. No, what is that?
GE. That would be the only three that are up there drawn on this one. Alright, secant. Remember, a secant is a what? A line that goes through the circle. So which one is the secant up there?
VA.
Alright, we can't say just AB. You've got to say line AB. Because if you say AB, that's what you're talking about right there. What is that? If I just write the two letters.
That's a team.
It's a segment. I don't want a segment, I want the line. So for secant, you've got to have the line part. Tangent. Ray CH. Could I switch that around and say Ray HC?
No.
Yes or no? Why is it no? Where's the point at?
Because it ain't on the circle.
Where's the point at? At the C. And the line, the arrow goes to the H. That's the way you've got to write it. Whichever one has the point has to come first. All right, chord. BD, BE, and AB. That's what I was talking about before. If you just do the letters AB, you're talking about start right here, stop right there. Well, that's a chord if you do that. Diameter, there's only one of those. You're going through the circle, got to hit the center. All right, are there any questions about doing that? How to write them, this stuff right here, how to write line, segment lines, all that stuff. All right, very quickly, don't even need to copy this down. What's my radius on this? 3. 1, 2, 3. If radius is 3, I automatically know diameter is 6. It's got to be twice as much. The rule for radius and diameter. Radius is half as much as the diameter, or diameter is twice as much as the radius. So if I said the radius is 10, diameter is
20.
If I said the diameter is 17, the radius is
8.5, 7.5.
8.5. Alright, so if you have the radius, multiply by 2. If you have the diameter, divide by 2. We talked about the common tangent stuff. What does a tangent do? What does a tangent do?
It goes 1 point on the circle to the next.
Well, it hits the circle one time. So a common tangent has to hit 2 circles, and each of them one time. This one is called common external on the top. Why? It's outside the 2 circles. This is called common internal because it's inside the 2 circles. How many common tangents does number 1 have? 2.
3.
3. 5, 12, 11,
18.
4. 2 external, 2 internal. Number 2.
2.
2 externals. So I got 4 there, 2 there. Number 3, how many common tangents?
2 external. 3.
One.
No, 3 if we go in the middle.
Number 4.
1.
Number 4 is 1 because I've got the outside right here. Number 5,
No.
that's my 0 because if I draw a tangent for the inside circle, I hit the outside circle 2 times. So make sure you can identify how many common tangents we've got. Alright, we talked about this rule. A line is tangent to a circle if and only if the line is perpendicular to the radius at the point of tangency. All that junk means is this. If I have a tangent point right there, what has to happen with this radius and that line? What is it going to do?
What does it make?
What does it make? A right angle. If I have a radius and a point of tangency line, then that has to make a right angle. Does anybody remember what I said that means right there? The if and only if? If and only if means you can reverse the rule and it still works. This rule says it's tangent if it's perpendicular. Well, I could switch it around and say if it's perpendicular, then it's got to be tangent. So you know 2 things. You know if it's tangent, it makes a right angle. You know if you see a right angle, then it's got to be tangent. How would I check right here to see if this is a right angle? Do Pythagorean theorem and see if that works for the whole triangle. I'm going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So when you get here, what does that mean when they're equal? That means right triangle, which means right angle. And if it's a right angle, then I can say yes because of the right angle. So what you're checking for, does that work? If Pythagorean theorem works, then that means it's a right triangle, means you've got a right angle, which means it's got to be tangent. Yes, sir.
What happens if the hypotenuse?
If what?
What happens if the hypotenuse will go all the way to just stop right there?
We're going to get to that in just a second. Here, I would do 16 squared plus 19 squared equals 27 squared. Is that 361?
360.
And then 729. Is that right? I'm trying to remember. So, I get here and see 2 different numbers, which means what? That's not a right triangle, which means it's not a right angle, so this is no because it doesn't have a right angle. All right, here. What happens if I see this? If you do this, that's guaranteed to be wrong.
Because it's not bigger, the 8 ain't bigger than the 12.
All right, if you do this,
No.
guaranteed to be wrong.
Yeah.
Which one of these needs to be the hypotenuse? Which letters? Which letters up there are the hypotenuse?
AC.
AC. Well, AC is not 8. 8 is just this part here to this part here. I need to know what that to that is. Why is it 5? If I know one radius, I know every other radius in that circle's got to match it. So AC is not 8, it is 13. Add the two parts, the 5 and the 8. So I'm going to check 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. And then I would say 25, 144. What does that tell me? What does that mean?
Yes, it's the same thing.
Yes, it's the right triangle and that one.
Yes, it's a right triangle, which means you have a right angle, which means yes, it's tangent. This right here does not tell me tangent. This means right triangle. But because of right triangle, I know right angle, and because of right angle, then I can say yes, it's tangent. All right, do that one right there. All right, tell me the equation I need to use right here. Well, what do I need to do first before I start setting it up? What do I need to realize?
Find your
AB.
I need to figure out what AB is.
And it's your
And
radius.
it's the radius, so it's gonna be 10.
And since I know one radius is 10, I know the AB has to be 10. Then I can say, well, 10 squared plus 24 squared equals, why am I using 26?
Because that's 10 and 16.
I've got to add the 10 and the 16 up to get the whole hypotenuse. This is one we looked at a minute ago. Wind up with 676 equals 676. So that means yes for a right triangle, which means I have a right angle, which means yes is 10. All right, this rule says tangent segments from a common external point are congruent. In other words, if I pick a point out here and I draw a tangent line to the top and a tangent line to the bottom, all I know about these two segments is they have to match. They're going to be equal. So if I'm looking at this right here, what would I do with that first one? What do I know about 2x plus 7 and 31? So 2x plus 7 has to equal 31, and I work it out. So you set up the equation based on what they give you, and then you solve what's there.
So it would be 12, right? X would equal 12.
So that means x to the second power is the same as 36.
So in this one, I'm going to say x squared equals 36. Now, how do I solve problems when it says x squared equal to something? We've done this before. How do you solve a problem when it says x squared equals a number?
It's 6.
Square root it. Square root it. Second and x squared should give you the square root button.
That'd be 6.
And technically, it's plus or minus 6. Now, most of the time we just go with the plus, but technically, it's plus or minus. Here's something you need to understand. If you see a squared in a problem, that squared is telling you you've got two answers. Now, sometimes you don't use the negative part, but if you see an x squared, it's telling you there's two answers in that problem. If you see x to the third, what does that mean?
3 is
3 answers in that problem. If it's x to the fourth, there's 4 answers in that problem. All right, here's the ones we need to try to get to today. Copy that one down. All right. On these problems, what did we do earlier? We did Pythagorean theorem. So I would do the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. There's a problem on this one though.
It's gonna be a fraction.
Well, I can do this and say r squared plus 8 squared
Equals r plus 4.
Alright, or
R plus 4 squared.
squared. There we go.
Sorry.
All right. Does everybody see that?
it's gonna be 2r plus.
Well, we get there. The left side is never a problem. You just square those two things. So I get r squared plus 64. We need to make sure we understand how to do this part. So I'm going to take this and do it over here. Do we remember how to do that? Do we remember what that is called when we do that right there?
be four.
Foil.
Do we remember what that means?
I'm gonna be honest.
First, outside, inside, last. So what you do is you multiply the first two things together. What is R times R? R squared. The outside two. So I did the R times that one, and then I do the R times that one. What is R times 4? 4R. Then I do the inside two. So I take the 4 and multiply it by the second part. That's another 4R. And then I do 4 times that last 4 and get 16. Combine the two things in the middle right here that are equal, and you wind up with R squared plus 8R plus 16. You have got to be able to do that full method right there. Are there any questions about this full method? Basically, you take the first thing, multiply it by both parts in the second. Then you take the second thing and multiply it by both parts in the second. Alright, so I get to this equation now. Well, if I minus R squared on both sides, what happens?
It goes away.
It goes away, which is exactly what we want, because we don't want to have to deal with R squareds. I'm left with 64 equals
It's just Tuesday.
8R plus 16. Now it's just a regular equation. So it looked worse at the beginning, but it turned into a very simple equation. Minus the 16. You wind up with 6. Now, you can check this by doing what? If I plug it back in, well, now this is a 6, and that's a 6, so the whole thing is 10. I can check 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared and see if that works. And it will. Run out of time. R squared plus 16 squared equals R plus 8 squared. Any questions about where those numbers are coming from? Why I use it? Left side again, that's always going to be the easy one. Just multiply those two things out, square them out. I'm going to take my R plus 8 and do it over here. First, R squared. Outside, 8R. Inside, 8R. Last, 64. Combine the two in the middle. You wind up with that. What's always going to happen with my R squareds right here? What's going to happen? They're going to go away because I minus R squared and minus R squared, and they're gone. Solve the equation that's left. You wind up with 12. Again, how would I check that if I wanted to?
Plug it in.
I'm going to take that and plug it back in and say that's 12 and that's 12, so the whole thing is 20 there. I can check 12 squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared and see if it works. Alright, give me the equation that I would use to start right here.
R squared plus 12 squared equals R plus 6.
Alright, should have R squared plus 12 squared equals R plus 6 squared. R squared plus 144
Equals R squared plus 12R equals 36.
plus.
I meant plus 36.
Is everybody okay with the R squared plus 12R plus 36?
Yes, and then your R's.
I didn't work it out all the way. Make sure we're good on that.
R's cancel out. And then your R's cancel
Alright,
out.
y'all, enough with the noise. We're going to cancel out the R squareds.
Then 144 equals 12R plus 36. And minus 36 on both sides. 108 equals 12R, and then 9 equals R. Yeah.
Alright.
There you go. Smart.